Hi everyone, we're back again for episode 11 for Sister to Sister. Um, so if you don't know what Sister to Sister is, it's pretty much an IG live series that we do every Thursday to have different women come on and share their story, share a little bit about how they found Christ, different things that they struggle with, how God has moved in their life, and the things that they're doing for the kingdom now. So, my name is Renee. I am the CEO and creator of the Sisterhood Ministry. A little bit about me: I run this ministry full time. I love doing this. I love Jesus. I am engaged to my beautiful, handsome man named Jermaine Ellis. Can't wait to marry him. I am a mother of one. We have a son. His name is Ernest Miller. Yeah, and I live in Vegas now. I recently just moved back about a year ago to come and live with family. So, a little bit about me. We're going to have my sis, Adrianna Smith, come on and she's going to share her story. She's our special guest for today. And once I, request her and she comes on and she shares her story, if you have any questions for her, anything that you want to talk to her about, please feel free to comment any questions or anything that you want to say. And as well as follow her on Instagram. We'll have her share her IG handle and all that stuff. So let's get started. I'm gonna add her right now. Give me 1 second, guys. There we go. There we go. Request right now, sis. Hi. Oh my goodness. Look at you, girl. I love the eyeshadow.
Thank you.
It's so cute. I love it. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So a little bit, we actually don't really know each other that much besides we're just following each other on Instagram. I met sis one time actually at, you were one of the speakers at my sis Charlie's sister retreat. She was one of the speakers. And so that was the first time we actually met. But since then we kind of just followed each other on Instagram. So I love what you've been doing, your ministry, everything like that. So I'm so thankful to have you and have you as a guest on here.
Thank you so much for even asking me to be a part of this. I'm so excited, and I love what you're doing. Creating a sisterhood, especially for women in the kingdom. I think it's absolutely amazing. So I'm honored to just be on here.
I'm gonna be so honest. Is when I sent you that DM, I was like, she's not gonna respond. I was like, no, she's not gonna respond. Like, I was like so hesitant to send it to you. I was like, no. I was like, maybe she'll read it and then not respond. I was like, I don't know. So I was like so hesitant, but I was just like, you know what? Just go for it. Just go for it. See what she says.
Listen, I actually always answer my DMs. Always. I'm always answering my DMs unless, okay, you're somebody spotted in my DM.
Right.
But that's
right.
it. I typically answer it. So I'm glad you did reach out.
Welcome to everybody that is joining, that is tuning in. Like I said, if you have any questions, as long as we go on, sis is going to share her story and just what she's doing for the kingdom. You could drop any comments or any questions that you have. And as well, if you would like to be a guest on Sister to Sister series, then please feel free to DM me and say, hey, sis, I would love to be part of this series and just, to share my story. So we'll get you clued in. But go ahead and introduce yourself, sis. Say a little bit who you are, and then we'll go from there and talk about your story.
Okay. So a little bit about myself. Of course, my name is Adrianna Smith. I am a speaker, certified professional life coach and strategist. I am the owner of my own life coaching agency called The Huddle Agency, the creator of Huddle of Love, founder of Huddle Conference. And a little bit about me, I'm also a former Miami Heat dancer, NFL cheerleader, and I have a heart and passion also for sports ministry. But right now, what I'm doing for the kingdom is I'm building champions. I'm helping women heal. I'm helping them grow and become everything God has called them to be. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Love it, love it. So we're going to start from the jump, sis. When did you first encounter Jesus and was like, yes, I want him in my life. I want to surrender to him, just when did you first meet him?
Well, I actually met Jesus at a very, very young age. I was in the kindergarten class where I had a good relationship with my kindergarten teacher, and she was a Sunday school teacher, so she would take me to church with her every Sunday. And then I had a best friend at the time in elementary school where I would go to church with her every single Sunday. But one of the times in my life where I was like, okay, I really want Jesus was when I was going through a bad breakup with my ex-boyfriend at the time. And of course, I had a friend in my high school that invited me to her church, and then I went to the church, and then I was like, okay, I want more of God. I got baptized, and I was ready to be on fire, but then I have a whole story behind that where I kind of reverted back, and then, you know, years later, I actually rededicated my life to Christ.
So share with us, what is that whole story behind that? Like, what happened?
So, okay, so I'm Caribbean, right? I come from a Jamaican household, and at the time when I got baptized and I gave my life to Christ, you know, my mother wasn't for it, you know, because she felt like I wasn't ready, and she didn't think that I was at a place where I could make that decision. So it was a whole big fiasco about that, and I felt like in order for me to mend my relationship at the time with my mom, or just, you know, have a peace in the household, that I couldn't really walk with God. So I made that decision, and of course, now that I'm older, I was like, that was nothing but an attack, right? But I had just made the decision, like, if I'm going to make everybody else happy, maybe she is right. Maybe I am going to backslide. Maybe I'm not going to be able to do this walk. So I ended up going back. And of course, years later, I was grown enough to make that decision and really walk this straight and narrow path.
Yeah. It's crazy how sometimes, you know, people around us that we love and that we want to, you know, have this strong relationship with, like, whatever words they speak, we hold on to them so tightly, you know. And lately, like, I think, like, we've been watching this show called Smallville, right? Have you seen it?
I have not seen it.
So, okay, so the show was about, you know, pretty much Superman, how he became Superman, pretty much. But in the show, you know, there's this character, his name is Lex Luthor. So everybody would, like, pretty much down talk Lex. Like, Lex was always this character that was wanted to be good. He wanted to do what was right. He wanted to, you know, he pretty much just wanted love from the world, wanted love from everybody. But everybody spoke down on him so much and said, no, you're this, no, you're that, no, you're gonna fall in your father's shoes, no, you're pretty much this evil person. And in the story, he pretty much ended up becoming the villain, you know. And it's so powerful how, like, sometimes people's other words can dictate, you know, what path you take in life. And it's so powerful, like, to know that that's why we have to be careful with, you know, the words that we let, you know, around us, the people that we let around us, and the words that they speak over us. And to know when to say, you know what, whatever truth you think you're speaking, I know the truth that God has already spoken over my life.
That's true.
So that just made me think of that. But yeah, so how is your relationship with your mom now? Like, now that you fully, like, you're grown, you fully have, you know, really dedicated your life to Christ. And so how is that now?
I mean, we're definitely in a better place, because when that situation happened, I was in high school, you know, and even now, you know, when I actually decided to give my life to Christ for real, I just think she didn't think I was serious, or she didn't think that I could really walk this walk. And it was it took her actually seeing me walk in my purpose and the impact that I was making, and coming to watch me preach, to realize, like, okay, like, this is something my daughter is called to. Like, this is not for show. And I had to realize that I had to break that in my bloodline for my family, in a sense of her understanding what relationship looked like, because she was putting me in the box of religion. And the bondage of that, and the fear of that. And I had to really walk that out for her to see. So, of course, with every in every relationship, there's still some things that we both have to just work through, but it
Yeah.
definitely is in a better place than before, especially when it comes to me walking with God. And one thing I had to note was I had to be bold, and I had to let her know that at the end of the day, I'm not going to allow anything or anyone
Yeah.
come in the way of my pursuit with God. And sometimes we have to be like that with family, because family, even though they're close to you, they know you, right? They know you better. They know you best. They know your past. They know your struggles. They know your failures. They know where you've been. Okay. So whenever you're trying to pursue God, they always tend to remind you of the very thing you're trying to break free from. So I had to really let her know and everyone else know that, listen, I'm in this for real, and I'm not going to allow anybody, to stop me from truly becoming who God called me to be.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta be like, sis, you gotta put them in the place, no matter who they are. Like, you know what I mean? Sometimes it just gotta be done. It might be hard, and it might be like, kind of like awkward at first, because like, oh, that's my mother, that's my father, that's my sister, my uncle, whatever. But at the same time, like you said, like, you're not gonna let anybody come in the way between what God is doing for you, what you have with Christ. That's so good. So since you, like, when you fully gave your life to Christ, did you see any shift in like your lifestyle or anything like that? Like, did anything, start changing? Like, what were some things that God was like breaking off of you?
Well, you know what, I realized I wasn't that bad. So I don't have the testimony of where I was just, out here crazy, because that was just never really my personality.
Yeah.
But I definitely seen a shift in, I can say, relationships. So, I was in a, relationship situation with ex-boyfriend for like 10 years. I ain't never thought that situation was going to die, because I didn't have the strength or the Holy Ghost at the time. But when I really gave my life to Christ for real and got serious, I noticed that God began to show me my worth. And that allowed me to disconnect myself from any relationships that just was not going to allow me to become. So I noticed that there was a shift in that when I gave my life to Christ for real. I found purpose. I knew what I was called to do. I no longer had this identity crisis. I wasn't out here doing things for validation or approval. So I noticed that began to change. I also realized that God began to expose to me. Right? Because when we come into our walk with God and we're really committing ourselves to Him, we just really think that, yes, all things are made new, but then you got to see what He's making new. So I began to learn more about myself. Okay, what was my trauma? What was my triggers? What was some things I wasn't healed from? Why I responded a certain kind of way? Even with me, one of my struggles was I was passive. Why was I so passive in situations? Why I didn't like confrontation? There was just a lot of things God began to expose when I actually began to walk with Him. So I noticed that there was a shift also in my mindset and the way I view things. I stopped looking at people as my enemy and started looking at them as souls. So there was a lot that He did. And it's such a beautiful thing, because you begin to see the transformation and you realize that, man, I'm not who I was yesterday, or I'm not who I was last month, or who I was last year. Like, every single day as you go on this journey with Him, you begin to see that, man, God is transforming me, because I can't do this in my own strength.
Yeah.
Like, if it was me, no, I couldn't do this in my own strength. Those was just a little bit of the things that I noticed that God began to work on and transform in my life.
That's good. That's good. I like how you said, like, God started to show you. Like, we go into this walk sometimes and we're just like, okay, God, show me you, show me you, show me you. And we're not even asking God, okay, show me myself. Like, show me the me in you. Show me the things that you want to break off me. Like, we're praying for change, but we don't even know what change those are. We don't know what ties we have. We don't know what, soul ties we have. We don't know what chains that, that we're carrying. And we're asking God to break them. And God's like, well, you don't even know what it is that you're trying to heal from.
And, here's the thing, right? It's not that we don't know. It's we don't want to admit that,
there we go.
Right? That change is still there. And so
Yeah.
it's sometimes, you know, we try to make it seem as though we're oblivious to what God is trying to do, but the reality
Yeah.
is we just don't want to admit that those things
Yeah.
are still there.
Right.
And that's something
Exactly.
so when it comes to this walk with us being, you know, Christian and kingdom women, right?
Mm-hmm.
We come into the faith and we want to make it seem as though we have it all together.
Yeah.
We want to say like, God is good, I'm delivered, I'm healed, I'm set free.
Mm-hmm.
But then the issue comes when God begins to say, no, you're not delivered. You're not set free. You're still hurt.
Yeah.
That thing still bothers you. You still got a little bit of rejection in you that's why you're acting like that. And we don't want to deal with that. And so it's not that
Yeah.
they don't know or we don't know. It's just the
Right.
fact that, you know, you don't want to admit that you're
Right.
still broken, that you still
Yeah.
need healing, that you're not delivered, because especially if you do have a platform or you feel as though people are looking at you and following you want to make it seem as like, nah, I conquered that, I'm over that. But the reality is you haven't. And because you
Right.
haven't really admitted that you're not over that, God can't really work in your life.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Thank you for that. Thank you. Yeah. That's so good. And that's just a word. That's such a good word. Um, and so do you have like what other experiences like have shaped you spiritually, you know, besides, you know, with your mom and like, you know, like you said, like the certain God showing you like what other experiences have you, you know, gone through that really like God like just moved?
Listen, I'm gonna say even now, I can say an experience is when I began to go through my process, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I went on this journey called Faith and Obedience. So
Mm-hmm.
last year, you know, I launched my conference, the Huddle conference, and, you know, it was definitely a faith journey for me. Now, I know we hear people talk about walking in purpose and chase, you know, what God has called you to do, but nobody talks about the price that you have to pay to be obedient.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I can say that experience, just starting from that point, with God taking me on a faith journey and me actually fulfilling it, doing it, trusting Him in everything. I thought that, you know, after me walking in that obedience, that the floodgates of heaven was just going to open up in my life, right? But it was the complete opposite. I actually lost everything. I got stripped. Okay, even y'all seeing me right now with my natural hair, that was a part of the process when God was like, okay, I'm stripping you from every single thing. And so God began to take me through a process.
Yeah.
And that process was the pruning, the cutting,
Yeah.
right? Showing me how to trust Him, how to literally walk by faith and not by sight. You know, how to really embrace myself and love myself the way He loved me. And it was a very tough and hard process. And I was just like, man, God, like I didn't know that this was the price that I was going to pay for obedience. But I realized that in that moment, what God was doing was God was saying, now that you can do this, I got to really process you for the promise.
Yeah.
And it was in those moments where I was able to see God shape me into the woman I am today. I was just like, I thank God for the process. It's hard. It's not easy.
It is.
Okay. Lord, you know, you cry. It hurts. But I'm really learning how to embrace the process and just know that it is in the process where I'm going to be cultivated. It's in the process where I'm going to become. It's in the process where God is really going to be able to get the glory out of my life.
Yeah. And like you said, it's hard. Like sometimes it's hard to you, especially when you in the process, you know, but it's like when you act like the process is over and you done, you know, where God placed you where you are and you like, wow, God, like I look back now and I'm like, I'm thankful you let me go through that. I'm thankful, you know, that happened because it was in that, like you said, like you're being molded, you're being, you know, restored, you're being created to who God has called you to be. That's so good.
And I wanted to say this as well. We have to understand that we have to know the weight of what we're praying. So if you're asking God to open up a big door for you, you have to know that there's going to be a process for every level, right? And the process is not always going to be like you going through warfare and you got to pray. And no, the process is going to be different, but God is always processing you to prepare you for what it is that you're praying for. And so we make these big prayers and we want God to do these big things, but you got to know that there's a process that is connected to what it is that you're asking God for. I always say this about people who love to get prophecies. Let me tell you, I learned real quick that when those prophetic words was being uttered, they sound good, but the process may not feel good, that you will be processed for that prophetic word. You have to walk that word out. And so a lot of us, we kind of die in the process, in a sense of we ask for certain things, but we expect for God to give it to us in a way where we don't have to really pay the price for it, you know? And the price may not be brutal. Sometimes it's just certain things you have to get adjusted to. It's just it's certain things that you may realize that, man, this is a struggle for me, but there's a process to it. So I just learned that you get processed for what it is you ask God for, because why would God give you something and you're not prepared?
Yeah.
Why would he give you a blessing that you're unprepared for?
Yeah.
He's going to prepare you for it, and that preparation comes with a process.
Yeah. That's good. I've always heard like people say like, even sometimes like, be careful what you pray for, because whatever you praying for, and then you wonder why you're going through certain things, because what you praying for, like you said, like there's a process, you know, behind what you're over there praying for.
And this is why we have to discern it. Everything is not the devil.
Yeah.
Everything is not the enemy. Just because it's hard, it doesn't mean that you're in warfare.
Yeah.
It can really be God. The Bible said that Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. Okay? That was the Spirit of God that led him into the wilderness for him to be tempted on all sides. And then after that, he was able to launch out in ministry and do what it is that he was called to do. And so I think we have to get to a place where we can discern our process, and we can know like, okay, this is God. God may have you losing everything for a reason. God, you may still be in a situation for a reason. Like, it may hurt for a reason, but everything is not the enemy.
Yeah. No, I've even definitely learned, even myself, like when I'm going through a certain situation, instead of jumping to like, oh, the enemy this, the enemy that, you know, like, God, have the enemy stop, you know, whatever he's doing. And I looked at to where, okay, God, what are you teaching me? What are you showing me? What am I supposed to learn, you know, in this? So I've like, even myself, I've definitely got to a place where like, instead of asking questions, why me, or why am I going through this, to questions to where, okay, God, what are you showing me?
Right. Right. But that comes with, you know, you having the wisdom and you in prayer, and you know, like, okay, God, I'm not going, like, this is not the work of the enemy. This is all you. Okay. You have me going through this for a reason. So it just allows you also to embrace your process differently when you know that what you're going through is God.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So sis, tell us about your ministry. Tell us, you know, what is it? What are you doing? Like, you said your ministry is called the Hurdle.
Well, yes. Well,
Okay.
Okay. Ministry wise,
Break it down.
okay. So last year I did launch a conference, you know, called the Huddle Conference, and you know, the whole purpose of that was to build champions and help people win in life. I realized that there were so many people that were saying like, I love the Lord, you know, I'm a Christian, I'm a faith-filled believer, but they were struggling to break through. They were always staying stagnant. You know, there was just certain things that they couldn't overcome to become. So I wanted to create something to help these people really be empowered and go out and be who God has called them to be. But of course, you know, helping them get deliverance in these areas. Yeah. So that was more so the conference. Now, ministry wise, I know for a fact I have shifted, right? I'm still about building champions. I'm still about helping people win in life. But I noticed that God has put a heart in me for kingdom marriages, but also really helping single women maximize their single season by, you know, helping them develop a stronger relationship with Christ, helping them understand their assignment and who it is they're called to serve, and just helping them heal and grow and know what it takes to have a kingdom marriage. And so I created a huddle of love, because I realized that not only do we as women need to understand these things, but also for men and women to know what it takes to really have a kingdom marriage. What does this look like? Because God does care about marriage. And, this shift for me was definitely different, because my heart is very connected to sports. And so when God was just putting it on my heart to shift into this arena of relationship and love and marriage, I'm like, God, I don't want to talk about that. Because everybody, I was like, everybody, is a relationship guru and an expert. I don't want to talk about that, but just the revelation of how important covenant is to God, how important marriages is to God, and the fact that marriages produce legacy because children are birthed from the marriages. But it's one of the covenants that's the most attacked. Matter of fact, it's the mountain of family, which is the most attacked and neglected sphere. So now I'm here.
How did that get started, sis? Like, how did God reveal, okay, this is what I have for you. This is what I want you to do. This is the work I want you to do for my kingdom.
Well, I did a live with someone, and after we did the live, I was just like, okay. I began to just go into prayer, and I was just realizing that even coming into 2020, I just already was feeling like kingdom marriages were going to be released. But, there was just so many attacks on these kingdom marriages.
Yeah.
And so I began to really pray. And as I began to pray, God began to give me the revelation that he wanted me to create this space where men and women can learn about what it takes to have a kingdom marriage, and allowing married couples to come and be transparent about it. Because there was just so many attacks that was happening with marriages, and I saw that there were people that was desiring to be in a kingdom marriage, but they didn't have the right tools or resources, or they didn't have anybody that they could really glean from or get wisdom from, so that way they can really prepare. So when God gave me that revelation, I said, okay, God, I don't want to do anything just about relationships. Like, I want to equip your people. I want to help them. I want them to be able to know what it takes to have a kingdom marriage, because I truly do believe that kingdom marriages can bring forth legacy. I truly believe that your marriage can evangelize. Your marriage can bring people to Christ. Your marriage can make somebody believe again. Like, our marriages are seeds. So I stepped out on faith, and I did it. And then I was just so thankful just to have married couples that I reach out to even say yes to pour in and share, their experiences, their stories, and just how God has moved in their marriages, and just them giving us wisdom on what it really takes to win in love and life and relationships.
Yeah. Wow. So you said you like reached out to other, couples and stuff for them to share their story. So like, was this like an IG live that you started? Did you start with an event? Like, what were you doing?
I was doing IG lives. So we would just come, and we'll have a Q&A just like this, and I would just ask questions. And as I begin to ask them questions, they'll begin to pour, and they'll give a strategy. And the one thing I love about the live, it wasn't just for single people, where single people would just come on and just listen, but it was also for those who were married, those who were divorced. Like, I have different people on there. I had people who were married and divorced, right? And the things that they learned and how they're navigating in this space now. So I did Instagram lives just like this, and we would come on and we would talk, and I'll give them the floor, and I'll let them just share and pour out. And I mean, it's been helpful to the people that have watched it. So that's been amazing.
Yeah. Do you still have like some lives that you're doing?
Yes, I actually have one coming up on Sunday.
Okay. I gotta make sure I tune in.
Huh?
I gotta make sure I tune in.
Yes. And I'm just thankful for it. And this is how I knew it was God, because I'm like, man, God, like, one, I don't know them. This is reaching out to people the same way you were saying you was reaching out to me. Like, I'm reaching out to people not knowing whether or not they're going to say yes. But, I just strongly believe that, especially in this time, we need wisdom. It's more than just us saying, like, your husband is coming or your wife is coming, but okay,
Yeah.
how do I really prepare for this thing mentally?
Yeah.
What are the warfare that comes
Yeah.
with a kingdom marriage? What does that look like? You know,
Yeah.
is it really going to be a walk in the park? I think, it's just really good because we get the full truth and the transparency
Yeah.
behind what it takes to be married. So
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Yeah. Don't you have like another thing that you do? I know it has the word like boot camp or something in it. You
yeah.
mentioned it before. So what is that?
Okay, so Huddle of Boot Camp, which
Yes. Okay.
I continue week 3 tonight, but Huddle of Love Boot Camp is for my single women who, have a desire to win in love and life. That boot camp is where I take women on a 4-week journey to healing, self-discovery, and becoming who God has called and created them to be. And so in each week of the boot camp, we deal with how to cultivate a stronger relationship with God, which is something we'll be talking about tonight. We deal with how to break a soul tie, how to heal from your past pain and trauma. We talk about how to pray for your kingdom marriage and what does that look like. We talk about your worth, your value, understanding your identity. And so that boot camp was, just birthed out of everything God was giving me revelation of. But, the purpose of the boot camp is to help women walk through that journey, but understand the process to, like I said, the promise. What does that look like? How do you heal? How do you overcome? How do you become in the process? And how do you really maximize the season that you're in? So that way, whenever God does send you, the person that you're praying for, the spouse that you're praying for, that you will be in a place where you're mentally and spiritually ready to receive that.
Yeah. That's good. I love how you said everybody talks about, the purpose, but nobody talks about the process. And I just love how like everything that you're doing, you're not just talking about the purpose, but you're like breaking down the promise. I mean the process. You're breaking down, okay, these are the steps, sis. These are the things that we need to talk about. These are the things that we need to break down. So I love like how your ministry is, more focused on the process because like you said, not a lot of people talk about it. They talk about, or they'll prophesy, oh, you got a purpose. This is your purpose right here. Okay, where do I go from there? What do I do with it? What's the process? How do I get there? What things do I need to break down? What's, my prayers that I need to be praying to, get to that. So I love how like you're literally showing women the process and you're like walking with them in the process.
And listen, you know why I can show women the process? Because I had to go through one, you know. And and let me tell you,
Yes.
we over here in the sisterhood ministry, so we gonna get real. Okay. I remember earlier this year, I was getting so many prophetic words about marriage and my husband. When I tell you, it was like 2020 was the year of prophecy for your girl to be out here with a ring. Okay. But I realized that when those prophecies was going forth, that now God was like, okay, you hear the word, like your kingdom marriage is coming, but now I got to take you on a process. And I tell you that process was not good because God had to really deal with me. And I remember speaking to, a friend of mine, my sister Whitney. I began to say like, man, like why nobody told me that this is the process that we have to go through for our marriage. Like nobody explained the process. Like I'm tired of people telling me that, my marriage is coming, my husband is coming, and just wait on the Lord. But nobody is talking to me about the process. Nobody's talking to me about what I got to deal with in private. Nobody's talking to me about how this process does not feel good. Nobody is telling me about this. And so it just made me realize that there's a lot of women who are frustrated with God because they don't understand that God is truly processing them.
Yeah.
And so they're like, God, why haven't I been found yet? How come I'm still single? Instead of realizing that, okay, the reason why you have not been found yet is because you're not refined.
Yeah.
There's a process that you have to go through first so God can polish you and buff away those things that's not like him so he could get you in the right place within him so that way you can truly value what he's giving you. And so I was like, man, I want to help women not get so frustrated in the wait because there's one thing to say the wait, but what are you doing? Like in the process, God is revealing your assignment. In the process, God is revealing areas of your life that needs to be healed. In the process, God is, giving you revelation of what a union looked like, what his vision of your marriage and what it's looked like. In the process, God is cutting away some stuff, cutting away some people, cutting away some habits. Like, God is doing so much in the process, especially when you're single. So if you can't understand that, all you're going to do is be like, I'm waiting, God. And you'll be out here building. Can I just talk about this really quick while we're in the sisterhood?
Yes, go ahead, sis.
Because this is what I found. Because we talk about Ruth a lot. Like, Ruth was in the field. And so what ends up happening, we tend to build from a place of like, okay, if I build this, if I become this, I can attract that.
Yeah.
Instead of like, okay, God, what is my assignment? What am I called to do? Who am I called to serve? What does this look like? And so when you begin to build from that place, then you can say, well, God, what is the assignment for my marriage? What is the assignment what is the mandate that you're putting on my marriage? How is my marriage going to serve you? When you don't have those answers, when you don't have clarity on that, you'll begin to do certain things because you want to be chose, or you want someone to find you, want to be married, you want to hurry up and be a wife, and now you in this marriage, and now your marriage don't have no direction.
Yeah, that's good. I like how you brought up Ruth, and like you said, a lot of people, they look at Ruth and they're like, oh, she was on the field, sis was doing this, sis was doing that, and look, she done found a husband. But why was Ruth doing all those things? Ruth was doing all those things because she was being obedient, because she was serving her mother-in-law by doing those things. Like, so what things are you doing by serving God and by, doing what God is telling you to do to be put in position to be found as a wife? We so worried about being found that we not even, doing what God is telling us to do to be in position to be found as a wife. So that's good.
Right. So, and that's why even with the boot camp, like, I didn't want the focus to be about this is what we do to get a husband. I didn't want it to be about that. I wanted to strictly really, lead up to this is how you can pray for your kingdom marriage. But let's focus on you, right?
Yeah.
Let's get healed because you need to be healed. Let's understand the assignment because you need to understand the assignment. Like, let's not do all of this because we want to get a spouse. Because what ends up happening is now the only reason why you want to be healed is because you want to be married, not because you want to be healed for yourself.
Yeah. And then what ends up happening is that marriage ends up becoming an idol for you. Right. Because you're doing all these things to just get married.
Right. And so it's just like, it has to be bigger than that. You have to be doing these things because you truly know, like, man, as a woman, matter of fact, as a kingdom woman, I need to know my assignment. I need to know my worth. I need to know my identity. I need to be healed. Okay. I need to understand, okay, if God does bless me with a marriage, what does this look like? I need to know that for myself. I don't need to be doing this because I want something. I need to be doing this because I need it for myself. And I think that's the problem. We make it so much about, the promise that we miss what the whole purpose of the process was really about.
Yeah. So is your boot camp, like, you only do a boot camp for just, like, single women, and do you do like one for like couples or couples that are engaged or, anything like that?
Well, I didn't expand to the couples yet, but I definitely I have one married woman in my boot camp. So even though I really tailored it more to, single women, I still have somebody that's married that's in there, and there's still so much they can get from it because we talk about things that you as an individual, should know and be able to like deal with and understand. But I have not done it for the couples yet. I actually do want to expand in that from a business side because I do have my own life coaching agency where I want to help even in that department. But I would say that I am planning something where I can have couples and married people, single, be all in one gathering together, and we have one big huddle. So I would just put that out there and say that I am working on something where everybody can truly get the information, the resources that they need so they can all win in love and life.
Yeah, that's good. So when is, because you said your boot camp is 4 weeks, right? So when is your next one that you're going to be having?
Well, I wanted to do another one in December.
Okay.
I know the holidays, and some people may be like, girl, it's Christmas and it's New Year. But the best gift you can give yourself is healing.
Yeah.
The best gift you can give yourself is, clarity on your assignment and becoming. Like, that's the best gift you can give yourself is investing in yourself. So I wanted to do something for the coming into December. My vision and my goal is to have a boot camp like every month. Take a break, a little break, but keep it rolling and continue that sisterhood, because it's necessary. And I think that even though people may be like, December? I'm like, look, that's my birthday. If I gotta sit and do a boot camp in my birthday month, we gonna do it. But I just think it's so necessary, because there are women, especially around the holidays time. You got people that are going home for Thanksgiving that are not married. You got people that may have got out of a marriage, or somebody right now who is distraught because a relationship didn't work out because of the holiday season and everything that is happening. You have people that is going home to their families, and their families are going to ask them, well, why are you still single? What's going on with you? Well, and I believe that this is a time where we just got to get focused on ourselves, so that way we can be strong, and so that whenever these things are happening, you can find contentment in where God has placed you. So I am planning to do one in December. Now, that is for people that's serious, but I'm thinking about doing also something in this month where I could do like a 2-day master class for those who just want to get everything crammed in, and really don't have the discipline for the 4 weeks. But I will say this about the boot camp. It challenges you, and it requires you to show up. The reason why I did it for 4 weeks is because I truly believe that you got to start learning how to show up for yourself. If I do it for 1 day, you give the information and it's gone, but you have to go through a journey, because it's a process. These things don't just happen overnight. You don't get healed overnight. You don't break the soul tie overnight. Okay. You don't know how to really tarry for a kingdom marriage overnight. It is a process. And if you cannot show up for 4 weeks, how are you going to show up for a covenant for a lifetime?
That's good. Yeah. And what better way to start the new year? Right? What better way to start the new year healed,
Delivered, set free, encouraged, having faith, and believing, God for a man. And this is so beautiful, because you could get to such a place where you're so satisfied to a point where, like, man, I'm going to pray for my marriage, because my prayers are seeds. I'm depositing, in heaven what it is that I'm expecting when I get it. However, I can just know that, man, God has me. And just the fact that, man, I can work through the healing process. I can continue to know my worth and my value. I can really maximize the season that I'm in. And when it happens, you're like, wow, God, you're amazing.
Yes, that's so good. Well, I'm gonna be looking out, because even though sis is engaged, I'm probably gonna be in one of them boot camp classes soon.
Listen, and like I said, you'll be able to still take away things, because and the beautiful thing about the boot camp is that it's truly like you have a sisterhood. You don't just sit and listen to me talk, okay? But I really make it in a place where women can truly connect, and you'll just be so amazed, the women that you'll connect with, and just the stories that you'll hear, and you'll realize, like, man, we're all going through something. We're all on a journey. We're all on the process. And just to be able to hold somebody's hand and say, you're not in this by yourself. Like, okay, you might be struggling with this, but let me tell you how I struggle with this, but I overcame this through God. It's just a beautiful thing where, you could give the information, but you can also now share that information with other women, just to hear their experience and their thoughts and how they reacted to it. So it's more than just getting information, but you're also building a sisterhood and community with the women that's in there with you.
Yeah, that's good. And that's what we need. That's what
Mm-hmm.
we need. We do. We need that. You know, like I tell people, the reason why this ministry started was because God spoke and he said, "My daughters are not being heard." And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like we need ministries like these to build up women, to show how to heal, how to, break chains and what that process looks like. And so I'm thankful for your ministry and what God is doing, through you, because it's so powerful. And, women, they need it. We need it, and even women who have given their life to Christ, they need it too. We might think, just because we've given our life to Christ don't mean that, we don't need healing in a certain part of our life.
Listen, listen, and I think that's why transparency is so important, especially us
Yeah.
as women who have given our life to Christ, because the women who
Mm-hmm.
don't know him need to know why they should know him. We have to
Yeah.
be transparent enough to say, you know what, listen, I was struggling with this, or this is an area of my life God is still working on,
Mm-hmm.
but this is what relationship is all about. So I feel as though we got to be a little bit more transparent so that way we can help other women, come into the faith and realize what relationship and what real love looks like.
Yeah. I mean, even all through scripture, Jesus sat at the table with sinners.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't sit at the table with all those people that thought they was holy, or thought they had it right, or thought that they knew, what they was doing. He sat at the table with the people who didn't really know, who were sin, in their faults, who were sin in their problems and their issues, their sin, and like a lot of us women, like we'll tend to put all this makeup on to make it look like we all pretty and make it look like we got it all together, when deep down we broken, deep down we need healing, deep down we dealing with depression, deep down we got all these different things that we dealing with. And then we wonder why nobody takes us serious, or nobody wants to listen to when we want to talk about Jesus. Right. So that was so good. um if you guys have any questions for sis about her story, or even what she's doing, please feel free to drop your questions. I think I did see someone on here that said that they were a part of the boot camp. Yeah, she said, I'm part of the boot camp. It is literally life changing. That you're great at what you do. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
That's so good.
the boot camp is I give assignments every week.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
I give assignments every week, so they know when I'm like, we're
Yeah.
coming up to the week. Did you do your
Mhm.
assignment?
And that's good. I like that.
Okay. See if anybody have any questions.
Yeah. So we just got a couple people that are joining. Hi, everyone that has joined. This video is gonna go up on my IGTV, and as well as it'll be posted on YouTube, so you can always watch the replay if you missed anything. Sis, why don't you share what your social medias are, so that way if anybody wants to go back and find you, or who's on here that just doesn't know where to find you, or how they can find you.
Yes, so you can find me on Instagram at Adrianna, ADRIANNA Smith, SMITH. On Instagram, you can follow me on Twitter at Adrianna A. Smith _ Facebook, Adrianna A. Smith. And that's it. And you can also, if you want to follow more so the love and relationship page where I do the marriage Q&As, you can go ahead and follow Huddle of Love.
That's good. Okay. I think, yeah, we're going to get ready to close out. So if anybody doesn't have any questions, we're going to get ready to close. Before we do, sis, is there any advice or anything that you want to say to the audience, before we close out?
Yes. Embrace your process.
Mm.
Embrace your process. It may not feel good.
Yeah.
There may be times you want to give up. There may be times you want to throw in the towel. But embrace your process. Your process is preparing you for the promise. Do not throw away your purpose. Do not throw away your assignment. Do not walk away from things prematurely because you do not like how it feels. but stay in the paint, stay in the game, because I'm telling you, if you faint not, you will reap a harvest. That this next season, this new season is going to require a new version of you. So the old you can't go where God is trying to take you. There's a new you that is required for this next level. And I truly do believe this prophetically, that God is bringing us into a new season. But there are some things within ourselves that need to die first before we can truly walk in that season. So the process may be a bit rough. There's going to be a cutting away, a tearing away, but embrace the process. Find joy in the process. Praise in the process. Do not curse your process because you can't understand it, but speak life in the midst of your process. And I'm telling you, as you begin to encourage yourself in the Lord the way like David did, you begin to see why you had to go through what you went through to obtain what it is that God had in store for you. I'm going to say this also. Do not settle for Ishmael. Wait on Isaac. Do not settle for what's convenient. Do not settle for what's easy. Do not settle for what is just handed to you, because you don't want to be processed for your Isaac. Wait on God. God's timing is perfect. You know, God knows the plans he has for you, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, but to give you a hope and a future. Wait on God. Do not allow the enemy to cause you to be disobedient. Do not allow the enemy to cause you to make a decision that can deter your destiny. Do not allow the enemy to put you in a position where you compromise your calling. Stay in the game, because if you do not quit, if you do not step out, if you stay in what God is, if you stay in your process and in the position that God has you in, you will reap. You will see the promise. You will obtain the promise. And so I just want to encourage somebody who just feels like, you know what, it's too hard, you know, want to give up on the purpose because the calling is too hard. The burden of their assignment and their purpose is too much. I just want to encourage you that God has you. He's equipped you for it. Excuse me. God has equipped you for it. He's anointed you for it. He's graced you for it. He's graced you to even walk through your process. So just be encouraged. Do not give up. Do not give up, because you're closer than you think.
Yeah. Amen to that, sis.
Lord.
Thank you.
I was like, I don't know what this is. I'm over here trying to get a word, and it's trying to lift your girl up over here. No.
We gonna get that word out.
We sure will. But yeah, just embrace it. Embrace your process. Embrace your process. Do not let nobody rush you. Do not let nobody tell you there's another way. Be processed. Be processed. For some of you, got to go through the fire before you get the promotion, before you get to the process. So just embrace it, find joy in it, and just know that God is with you. He's not trying to punish you. He's not picking on you. You know, you didn't do anything. You didn't make him upset, you know, but God is trying to prepare you for your next level.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Thank you so much for that word. That was so good. That was so good. Yeah, so we're going to get ready to close out. I want to thank you, sis, for being a guest, for coming on and sharing your story, giving us some wisdom, some insight. I love it. I love it. I love what you're doing. I just want to thank you. Thank you to everybody that had joined, people that are joining right now. If you want to watch the replay, it'll be up in just a couple seconds on my IG live TV, and then it will be up on YouTube pretty soon. And then, of course, all the glory to God, you know, thank him for everything that he is doing, you know, and using us for the kingdom. So, yeah, thank you, sis, so much.
Thank you so much for having me. And this is absolutely amazing. If those of you who are coming from my page, please make sure you go ahead and follow the Sisterhood Ministry, because she's doing awesome things for the kingdom, especially women of God.
Amen. Amen. Well, I hope you have a good rest of your night, sis.
Yes, I'm actually about to get ready for the boot camp tonight. So
yes. Yes. All right. Well, enjoy. Thank you so much.
All right, bye.